1 in 3 people in Australia are obese, and 40% of adults in America are obese. And from as early as 30 years old, your body naturally starts to lose muscle mass. So really, there's a lot of people at risk right now of having sarcopenic obesity. And sarcopenic obesity is when you have high levels of body fat and not enough muscle mass. It's essentially a combination of the two conditions, obesity and sarcopenia. And there are 2 things that you can do to help prevent or manage this condition, and they are quite simply to lose weight and gain muscle. Now, obviously, these 2 things are much easier said than done, so today I'm going to explain how you can use exercise and nutrition to achieve these goals. So let's go. So if you're new here, last week I did a video explaining what sarcopenic obesity is, and this video is essentially a follow-up to that. So I do highly recommend that you go and watch that video if you missed it. But the main issue with having sarcopenic obesity is that you have a bit of a double whammy going on with health risks. With obesity, there are what we call metabolic risks, which means that you have an increased risk of getting things like type 2 diabetes and heart disease if you are obese. If, on the other hand, you have sarcopenia, then you risk more of the mobility issues. So that's maybe things like difficulty walking, standing up, doing your day-to-day activities, because the loss of muscle, well, that makes you weaker. So when you have both of these conditions at the same time, then you have sarcopenic obesity, and you get the combined health risks of both. You get the metabolic risks and the mobility risks, which is why it's a good idea to try and prevent the situation from happening in the first place, or to try and turn things around while you can. And like I said before, we need to do 2 things. We need to reduce fat and we need to build some muscle. And this is exactly where exercise and nutrition can come in. So I'm going to start with exercise. Generally, with exercise, we have 2 options. You have cardio and you have resistance exercises. And when it comes to sarcopenic obesity, it's actually a really good idea to do both, because each of these have different benefits that you can get. Now, resistance exercises, these are great for increasing the amount of muscle mass that you have. And it can do this in a few ways. The first is that it causes mechanical tension. So when you lift weights, you do place stress on the muscles. And what this does is it leads to muscle growth, because messages and signaling is sent throughout your body to grow muscle so that it can adapt to the situation that you are placing it in. And this does happen over time, so you actually do need to stick with it for long periods of time, but in the end, it tends to be very worth it. Now, the other thing that happens when you lift weights and do resistance exercises is that you create very small micro tears within your muscle fibers. Initially, this sounds bad, but it's actually a good thing, because what your body needs to do is fix this. It needs to rebuild the tears, and what they do is they come back bigger and stronger. And the more you repeat this process, the stronger and bigger your muscles become. And the other good thing that comes out of this is that to repair the muscle and maintain it, your body actually uses more energy, and this helps with the weight loss side of things. So, what kind of exercises am I talking about? Well, resistance exercises are actually quite varied, and they include a lot of things. They include your bodyweight exercises like push-ups, squats, and lunges, but you can also use weights and do things like bench press, deadlift, or shoulder press. If weights are a bit too tricky at this stage, you can also use resistance bands or the actual machines inside the gym, like your lat pull-down machine or your cable machines. So there's a huge variety, and whatever level you're actually at, there will be something for you. If you're just starting out, try to aim for 2 sessions a week of resistance exercises, and you can increase from there depending on how you're going. But now let's move on to cardio. Cardio is more helpful in terms of fat loss rather than building muscle, which is why I suggest you do both resistance exercises and cardio, so that you can get both the benefits. Now, cardio helps with fat loss simply because you use up more energy. Now, you might be familiar with the whole idea of calories in versus calories out. And when you're trying to lose weight, what you're trying to do is have the calories outside of this equation be higher than the calories in. Because then what your body does is it starts to break down the storage forms of energy, like fat, to fuel you, and that is how you lose fat over time. So cardio can help put you in this energy deficit state, and moderate intensity cardio like brisk walking, jogging, hiking, cycling with very light effort. Those are the types of exercises that encourage your body to break down fat for fuel. It's not so much sprinting or intense cycling and running. If you're stuck on trying to figure out exactly what intensity you need to do the exercise, it's basically whatever intensity allows your heart rate to increase but still allows you to maintain a conversation. So when you're trying to do your cardio to reduce fat, you shouldn't be so out of breath that you can't talk to someone. Now, not only is cardio good for fat loss, it's also incredibly good for your heart health too. So there's really plenty of reasons to make sure that you are including it in your routine. And again, start small. If all you can do at this stage is go for a walk, then do that, and try to do that at least 3 times a week and increase it when you can. Now, one type of exercise that I haven't actually talked too much about is balance exercises. And these are actually very, very beneficial for older people in particular, and this is because it can help prevent falls. So if you are over 65 years old, it's a good idea to really focus on balance and mobility exercises like maybe standing on one leg or more yoga type exercises. And honestly, I'm nearly 30 and I've really started to try and add these in because mobility is very important as we get older. So yes, while these are very important for the older population, they do benefit anyone, and the earlier you do start to work on them, the better it is. So that's how you can use exercise to help lose weight and build muscle. But there's another very important thing, of course, that goes hand in hand with exercise, and that is nutrition. So you will get the best results if you try to work on both exercise and nutrition. Now, nutrition, it's a massive topic, and I'd be stuck here for hours if I was to go through every single thing. But I'm going to try and stick with some of the main points today. And with sarcopenic obesity specifically, since the goal is to lose weight and build muscle, we do need to focus on protein. And protein is incredibly important when it comes to weight loss. And this is because if you don't get enough protein while you're trying to lose weight, then your body will start losing muscle mass because it's going to try and break down that muscle to use the amino acids for energy. And this is the last thing that we want. So we need to make sure that we are having enough protein. And since we also want to increase muscle mass, that also requires protein because protein is used to build muscle. About 20% of your muscle tissue is made up of protein. So the moral of the story is, if you want to increase your muscle mass, you need protein. So how much should you be having? Well, because in the situation of sarcopenic obesity, you're also trying to lose weight, you need to aim for about 1.5 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of your ideal body weight. So if you want to know how to figure out ideal body weight, the equation should be appearing on the screen right about now. So what I'm trying to say is that you need to be having 1.5 to 2 grams of protein for each kilogram of the weight that you get as the answer to this equation. And that is because this is the amount of protein that's been found to help preserve muscle mass during weight loss. This amount also tends to depend on the level of obesity. So if your BMI starts to go further beyond 30, so we're looking at maybe 35 or 40, those protein numbers will go up. You will need to be having even more protein than this. It will likely be over the 2 grams per kilogram amount. Now, the other really helpful thing about foods that are high in protein is that they help to keep you feeling full, which means that you consume less food, which is another goal with weight loss as well. I find diet tends to be quite overcomplicated in the weight loss space, so I'm not going to go into too much more depth. What I will say is that you do need to work on making sure you're getting enough protein to protect your muscle mass as you lose weight and to also make sure you are increasing your muscle mass. From there, what you need to do is aim to eat a well-balanced diet. And what I mean by that is foods from all the food groups. I say this because it increases your chances of making sure you're getting all your essential micronutrients. So those are your vitamins and your minerals, and they're all very important for your health too. Everyone's situation is quite different. For example, different people have different access to food, different people have different health conditions. So I'm not going to be giving specific advice right now, but what I have covered so far in this video will hopefully give you the knowledge to start making some small changes to your lifestyle. If you do want a bit more specific information, leave a comment or even send me an email. It is in the description. And what I'll do is I'll do my best to give you a little bit more tailored information if you need it. I'm a pharmacist at the moment. I'm also doing a master in nutrition, so I should be able to help to some degree. And if I can't, I'll be able to point you in the right direction. So that is all I have to say for now. I hope this video has been helpful. Remember, it doesn't have to be huge changes all at once. In fact, that's unlikely to work. What you need to do is make small changes over a long period of time, and then you'll benefit the most. Maybe start with walking, then increase the amount of time you spend walking. Lift weights for 1 day a week, then make it 2 days a week. Do it one step at a time and you won't burn yourself out. I don't have the perfect exercise routine or diet. In fact, this year's been a bit all over the place for me. I don't hit my protein goals on quite a few days. I have days that I drop the ball and I don't go to the gym. But over the course of a year or a few years, those days where you miss things, they won't mean a lot if the majority of the time you stuck to the plan. So keep going. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, keep playing the long game.